Hey there. Welcome. Today is January 2nd. It is 10:10 a.m. my time. And today, as I was in the bath, I get most of my messages, when we're still, when we're not really, excuse me, paying attention. This is indicative of us living more in a meditative state. I just would like you to know that when you're doing those activities that are kind of less, they're engaging in that they need to be done, but they're not engaging to your mind. That's how we have shower thoughts and whatnot. We're starting to live more in that brainwave state. Some of us are being offered that. So anyway, all that to say, rabbit hole. The message that came to me today is about spiritual narcissism. Having a God complex. Let's talk about it. Let's dive in. What came to me is the vision in the Bible. Many of you may or may not have heard this story, but there's a story where Sodom and Gomorrah is on fire. And that's a city, right? And so Lot and his wife were running away from the city. And Lot's wife was instructed to not look back on the burning city, because if she did, she would be turned into a pillar of salt. And that's what happened. She looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt. So, what does that have to do with spiritual narcissism? I'm so glad you asked. So when you're on your spiritual journey, when you understand that you are going from being a reactive human, a flesh-based human, to an integrated divine human, knowing that you are not just human or just a flesh bag that you die or whatever. When you're able to integrate your highest self, that opens up your ability for cognition, different types of cognition and understanding. And with that comes the experience, the lived experience of enlightenment, of knowing more than just knowing, but intimately knowing your soul, that deep inside. There's a bridge that goes from being the reactive flesh human living in survival to being an active, thriving, divine, awakened, conscious human being, sovereign with your spiritual and your thinking, everything, and your feeling and your being is all in alignment. The bridge between that, part of that process, there's a moment where you're like, oh, snap. Oh, snap. And we see this in the religious community when someone first gets saved and they're on fire for God, or anytime we really like find this new like answer, and that's our God complex. So when we are actually there, we see these new spiritualists or these new believers that get out there, and we all do it and we're all doing it. It's a continual thing. However, first bursting on the scene and it's like zealous, like Simon the Zealot in the Bible, right? Sometimes we have to get switched because we're so overly zealous on what we believe that we're willing to kill for it. And that's not. So, anyway, all that to say, when we get to the point that we actually do understand that going within, going inward, is how we tap into our actual true God self, there is a phase of spiritual narcissism that the seeker goes through before they've arrived to where you do understand your God self, where you do create with your powers. When you're conscious to it, it looks a little different. So we'll get there later. But spiritual narcissism is this phase that we're in where we know it all. We are have a God complex. We've met those people. We've been those people. We have those seasons and phases because we do get to try on and need to try on understanding our God self. Your God self is not the same as your God complex. So the God complex, and what does the God complex have to do with the spiritual narcissism, Lot's wife, all these things? When you take a perspective, not only, but when you take a perspective of the Bible as being something about consciousness, and you think about Lot and his wife. Lot, in my opinion, this was a perspective that came to me, is the individual. The masculine is the logical, the rational, the one that makes sense, that part of you that knows like factual earthly data. The feminine side of you, Lot's wife, perhaps, is that more intuitive, the side that can be tapped in. But it's also our emotional self, our feelings, our feelings. And so sometimes we get so sucked down in our fear that we turn around when we're changing things in our lives, when we are becoming our highest self, our highest conscious God self. That requires leaving patterns of thought and not looking back, fleeing the thing that once felt like home. And you have to have your thinking and your emotion in alignment and do not look back. Because if you do, it's not a threat at all. It's a promise that if you look back, that's okay, but that's where you'll stop. And then she turned into a pillar of salt. And I'm just going to say a pillar is something that's structured, that's there. And you are the salt of the earth. And if you decide to turn back, there is a lesson there. Salt is an amplifier. Salt we add to baked goods. We add to sweet things, to balance. Salt teaches, it preserves, it does all the things. It can also kill. And disobedience might also make you a structure that is meant to season the earth with a lesson. Like you could go down so many avenues with this. Where it hit me was to when I'm changing my mind, when I know that I'm leaving and leaving from one life style to another, one paradigm to another, one thought of belief to another, or from the belief that I'm not powerful to I am all powerful in my reality. Sometimes we can't look back because we'll get stuck. And so that's where we go from spiritual narcissism. I can do what I want. I can do what I want. Nothing's going to hurt me. The Bible also says that all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And I'm just going to tell you right now, looking back and trying to get where you've been told to flee and trying to hold on to where you've been told to help me with these words. Hold on to the life from which you've been told to flee. I guess someone had to hear that again. But when you do that, that's where your salvation is. It's from the inside out, and it's the obedience of the knowing of the instruction and allowing the feelings to be what they are. You can run afraid. You can turn away afraid. You can still keep walking forward with a little bit of fear. But the further you get from that heat of where you were, what you're coming out of, the further you get from it, the more you start to feel in alignment with where God is calling you to go. And you are God. And again, when you get your thinking and your feelings kind of in alignment, then you can rest easy in letting the ship burn down. Because in society, mark my words, it's intuitive. I don't have taps on anything, y'all. Everything's changing. 2025, 2026, and 2027. It's just a beautiful, beautiful period of transition. And here I don't know my timer. I don't know how long I've gone, but I really got to get a timer when I speak because that would be helpful. Anyway, all that to say, what this looks like in my life is that I'm stepping into a very big season of speaking, public speaking. And so that's why I'm committed to recording. I really value authenticity and being genuine. Like, this is what you gonna get. I did get dressed today, and I'm gonna get dressed most days because, like, I still am on YouTube. But at the same time, I feel it's the rise of the podcast again. I feel it's the rise of the new YouTuber. Hi, it's me. It's just the I'm your friendly neighborhood 43, almost 44, year old single woman, divorced woman. I got 3 kids, they're old, 18, 16. You know what I mean? Like my kids are in 9 and 9. I'm just like you. And there is no but, and I allowed my life to just crumble and burn and I'm allowing it to continually burn. I can't wait to come back here because I'm going to land the plane here. I can't wait to come back and talk to you guys about orgasm. I think I might do that tomorrow, depending on how saucy I feel, but it's such a great conversation. So anyway, spiritual narcissism versus your God self, like it's just a fun playground to be in. Don't attach too tightly to anything because when you know who you are and you know your God self, you are everything. You're the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're the salt. You're Lot and his wife. You're the burning down building, the burning down city. And you're the rebirth, you're the phoenix, you're all of the above. So the more that you can allow your human to be human and just enjoy and just take a breath and just take that next right step, that inspired action, that moment of reflection, that deep breath, that's when you know. That's when you know you're not anywhere near spiritual narcissism because there's a sense of humility and love and exuberance. I think I land the plane. I think the pilot's telling us that we've arrived, and I think the stewardess is already like told us what we could do. That little bit was like, at the plane, like when everybody stands up and they're all trying to leave at the same time and we're like waiting for first class and all these people to get their bags over the overhead bin. So when I like land the plane, when I'm talking, there's always just going to be a little extra. That's for those of you who stick around for the end of the videos because like, bro, my brain goes a million miles an hour. And if you're able to keep up, like you're one of the real ones. You're a real one. Anyway, also, I just feel so fun to say, welcome to the excitement. Welcome to recess. We've been in school all year long, all lifelong. And now it's recess. So my role, my job, my calling is to help call everybody else to the playground. Like, there's going to be bullies. We're going to let them bully. Bye.